Many of you have been watching the various revolts throughout the Middle East, but may see them as completely separate. Joseph Farah of conservative news service WorldNetDaily had this to say about the explosion that he believes is about to occur throughout the Middle East with the help of a certain government. He states, with the revolts going on in Egypt, Tunisia, Pakistan, Yemen, Lebanon, and Jordan, most of them clearly orchestrated from Iran, it's easy to believe these are unrelated, disconnected uprisings. But if you have been observing the Muslim world like I have been for 35 years, what's happening right now is as big a development, maybe even bigger, than what happened in 1979 when backers of Ayatollah Khomeini, with a push from Jimmy Carter, overthrew the Iran Shah in one of the most tragic and unfortunate international developments of the late 20th century. We in the West have been paying the price for it ever since. What's going on in Egypt is the work of the Muslim Brotherhood with the aid and encouragement of Tehran, and the ripple effect of what we're seeing is hard to overstate. As the leader of Jordan's powerful Muslim Brotherhood, Hammam Saeed, warned over the weekend, the unrest in Egypt will spread across the Mideast and Arabs will topple leaders allied with the United States. Hosni Mubarak is nothing but a dictator, it's true, but he is a dictator who is holding the line on Islamic radicalism. If his regime goes, it will be replaced by something similar to what we see in Iran today, a government run by zealous mullahs hell-bent on bringing about the worldwide Islamic revolution. Egypt is the biggest and arguably the most important Arab country in the Middle East. For decades now, it has been at relative peace with its neighbor, Israel. How long will that last if Mubarak is replaced with a Muslim Brotherhood leader? Keep in mind, it was the Muslim Brotherhood that assassinated Mubarak's predecessor, Anwar Sadat, for making peace with Israel. Meanwhile, the U.S. is still in the midst of a quagmire in Afghanistan while still engaged in Iraq. It can ill afford an explosion of violence and revolution and instability through the Middle East and the Islamic world. But that appears to be just what is coming. One might ask, why would Iran secretly incite a revolt in Islamic nations such as Egypt, Tunisia, Pakistan, Yemen, Lebanon, and Jordan? You have to remember, Islam is broken up into two major groups: Sunnis, which make up about 85% of Muslims, nations pictured in light green on the map, and Shias, which make up about 10% of Muslims and pictured in dark green on the map. It is the quest of Iran's extremist government, who are Shia, to turn all Sunni dominated states into Shia ruled nations. You can see how that is happening in parts of Iraq already since the departure of devout Sunni Saddam Hussein. Iran's quest also serves the second purpose of eliminating all of Israel's supposed Islamic allies and replacing them with like-minded radical government heads that will renounce their alliance with the U.S. and harden their hatred toward Israel. Of course, this scenario only strengthens what the Bible has already said, that the enemies of Israel will one day attack them, thereby giving occasion for God to destroy their enemies. At this time, Israel is hoping that Mubarak will survive, along with their long-standing peace agreement, but preparing for the worst. A fundamental change of government in Egypt may lead to a revolution in Israel's security doctrine, a defense official told Ynet Friday night, as protests against President Mubarak's rule continued to intensify. The security official said it is clear that Israel's peace treaty with Egypt constitutes an important strategic asset which enables the IDF to focus on other theaters. The defense source said the IDF would have to dedicate major resources in order to devote any attention to the Egyptian front as well. Should a revolution indeed take place in Egypt, the rules of play will not necessarily change at once, the source said. It won't mean, heaven forbid, that Egypt would immediately turn into an enemy country. Yet, our attention would most certainly have to shift. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal on Sunday, Syrian President Bashar Assad suggested that the pressure he will face from the Syrian people to institute reforms will be less than that faced by the embattled Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, because he has not pursued close diplomatic relations with the U.S. and Israel, a position that he said puts Arab leaders at odds with their citizens. Assad also said that he will advocate for political and economic reform in Syria following the massive protests that have recently swept the Middle East, which he said have ushered in a new era. In other news, Cyprus has recognized a Palestinian state within the 1967 borders, Ramallah-based news agency Wafa reported Sunday. As the turmoil in the Middle East continues, especially in Egypt, one thing has been overshadowed: the one-by-one continuation of nations throughout the world recognizing the Free State of Palestine within 1967 borders. Israel has hired a network of European firms to conduct the state's public relations campaign throughout the continent in an attempt to strengthen their image in the European Union and hopefully dissuade further European nations from recognizing a Palestinian state. I have to believe, given the present Middle East climate, few will be interested in what Israel has to say. It is my belief that this popular revolt that is spreading throughout the Middle East will lead global leaders to believe that a sooner than later creation of a Palestinian state could serve as a calming agent that could bring peace to the whole of the Middle East. This is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.